back to the tangent. Shit, are we a tangent? Sure. Yeah, I guess we're a podcast. Sorry about the whole delay of how long we've been away.
As you might have heard.
Yeah, with this whole like plague thing that's going around, I don't know.
We've been killing our fair share of zombies during the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
definitely. For anybody that's listening to this in a year that's not 2020 and maybe didn't live through it, there's zombies. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it's nuts, man.
Also, the world's most boring zombie apocalypse. It is extremely uneventful.
It's quite uneventful.
But we have taken a break due to the, I'm not going to say it, we'll call it the plague.
The beverage bug.
Due to the plague, we took we've taken a small break.
The Kung Flu.
We do have a bunch of content that can go out, but due to our awesome editor getting super sick the last couple of weeks, we haven't been able to put out much. But today's just going to be a quick and easy. We're not going to do anything.
Yeah, we haven't talked to you guys in a while, so we're just gonna be catching up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little catch up of what we've been up to. You know, you can leave what you've been up to in the comments, and that'd be nice.
Yeah,
this could be a good way for us to kind of restart.
Yeah,
we can do. Yeah. We want to do
clean slate.
Yeah.
We're still the same tangent
begins again.
You know,
still the same tangent, clean slate.
You know, but Dragon Ball Evolution was supposed to be the beginning of a trilogy.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Like, was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it sucked dick.
Yeah,
it sucked dick.
Like they said trilogy, and then like the closer it got to coming out, there was like a whole series of movies, and they were gonna go through all the storylines, and it sounded like they were planning out for like 20 movies or something.
Something I want to say this is actually a pretty decent way to start. Over the quarantine, they added quite a bit of movies to Hulu if you have certain subscriptions. Like I use my parents' Hulu, and they're subscribed to like the Stars thing.
Oh, they gave away HBO, I think, for like a week.
Yeah,
so.
Since we're talking about Dragon Ball Evolution, I watched Pikachu, Detective Pikachu on Hulu.
That was pretty good.
It's my second time seeing it because I actually went to theaters and saw it because I'm a nerd.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good movie.
And I just want to say, I feel like if they tried a little harder, they could probably make a pretty decent Dragon Ball Z movie. Having seen how well they did the Detective Pikachu.
Oh, sure. But the thing is, in order to do that, they have to actually get people who gave a shit.
Right. I mean, they'd have to have the right people and want to follow storylines. I mean, for real storylines.
That's the problem with movies made into with things.
And truthfully, I think, me not being an anime guy and me just listening to you guys, I don't think doing Dragon Ball Z is the right way to do it. Maybe you just start with Dragon Ball.
Yeah, going to Dragon Ball would be the better way to do it, because it's a easier sort of style to do, because you don't have all the sky fights and blasts.
I think they would.
The story is a lot more simple.
The story's a lot more simple. The characters are better defined, so you get to follow characters better. Because in Dragon Ball Z, you lose a lot of the character development. Like,
for sure,
a lot of characters progress backwards. A lot of characters don't even show up. Yamcha goes from a capable fighter to a guy who gets exploded by a Cyberman and doesn't do anything the rest of the whole series.
Yeah, he's just incompetent for the rest of the show.
I think what they just needed to do is actually, read the source material.
Yeah.
Watch the anime.
What he was saying.
No, not mix Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z together.
Right.
So it doesn't make...
And no freaking Goku sliding off the roof of
Dragon
a
Ball
car.
Evolution was made by a group of people who had a passing knowledge of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, they knew the names of the characters.
But some of the actors, you could tell, did care and wanted to do well. It's just they shouldn't have been cast for those fucking characters. Like Emmy Rossum should not have been Bulma. She was not a fit for Bulma. She's a good actress, and you could tell she was trying. But she's not a Bulma.
Yeah.
They just don't fit together. Those aren't puzzle pieces that go together.
I agree with that.
It took us a month and we're back to talking about Dragon Ball. It always comes to Dragon Ball.
Right.
Sure.
You know,
Did I or did I not make a comment when you walked in that it's gonna end up at Dragon
Yeah.
Ball?
Yeah.
Of course.
What is,
I didn't bring it up.
Every time we start on a subject, we end up going to Dragon Ball and going, all right, let's stop talking about Dragon Ball and start talking about something else, and then we end up back at Dragon Ball.
Okay,
I mean,
so
yeah.
we are gonna get back into kind of what each one of us were doing during this whole thing.
Right, and
Devin did bring up something that a
a
lot of people I know did, which is watch a lot of stuff. And
Honestly,
at some
that's quite
point
a
we
bit of
will
what
bring.
what my time spent.
Gosh, I
has
got-
been on.
I got bored since that's what I do anyways.
Well,
Right.
and the thing is that we will not bring up Joe Exotic.
No,
That's
we
the
will not-
only time that his name will be said on this podcast.
Yep.
So we're gonna start with Tim because Tim said that he doesn't have a whole lot that he did because I understand that he worked through the whole thing. Well, we all did. I think all four of us in this room had to work through the whole thing.
So and before you get on us, you can blame the government because all of us I think ended up on with at least one job that we do a piece on at least one list of essential services.
Yeah, we're.
So we were all
expendable.
considered essential and therefore could not just stay home and be boring.
Oh yeah.
So my
Yeah.
job is technically in the automotive field, and since automotive anything is considered essential because anyone who needed to get somewhere still had to get somewhere, and a lot of like construction crews and things like that for repairing roads, they all need new tires and junk like that. So my job was considered essential. So I spent this entire apocalypse so far working. I'm working less than I should be this time of year, but I am still working and getting overtime. So the difference between what I was doing before and during this plague is essentially the same. So yeah, I'm watching the same number of things I was before, and at the same pace.
But there is something that you did pick up that you didn't have before.
I did. I went ahead and after all of our discussions on video games, I decided to pick up a PlayStation 4.
Oh right.
And I have discovered that I have the same amount of time for it as I did for all the other old consoles that I did. So I haven't done a whole lot with it. I picked up Arkham Knight finally, and I beat it the first time through. And I was working on New Game Plus, and I ran out of time. I don't have a whole lot of time to keep throwing at it. So, but I did, since our anime discussion, I started taking up a lot of new anime. So I watched all of One Punch Man. I watched all of, so far, My Hero Academia.
Me too.
Alright.
I watched. I finished Sword Art Online as far as they're up to now, so I'm caught up basically on everything.
What did you guys think now that you've seen it of My Hero Academia?
Oh, I love it.
I had a huge problem, and I told it to you before, and it was I watched Sword Art Online, caught up with it, and then I went to One Punch Man, and that was great. And then I went to My Hero Academia, and so going from One Punch Man to My Hero Academia, one right after the other, like literally in the same day, I finished the last episode of One Punch Man and started the first episode of My Hero Academia. That was a mistake. And the mistake comes from the fact that every time they get into something where they start going serious in My Hero Academia, I'm used to how they did it in One Punch Man, where instead of going into serious dialogue, they throw you a punchline and they just throw a joke at you. It's like, stop telling me your stupid freaking backstory and fight. And so every time someone started getting into their backstory in My Hero Academia, I expected someone to like throw a rock at their head and tell them to shut up and fight.
Because
and they don't
One
do
Punch
that.
Man makes fun of anime.
Right.
It's part of its
and
story. What makes it
the
so
thing
funny.
with My Hero Academia is there are instances where it does get jokey and goofy and try and subvert some tropes, and so it feels the same until the background keeps going. Until the backstory continues, it feels the same, and then it just keeps going. And I was like, I don't know what to do now.
Right.
I don't know how to feel.
So you guys are all caught up in the sub end,
No.
or just dubs?
I did dubs.
I finished season 3.
I considered what My Hero Academia.
I watched everything that's on Hulu
Okay, gotcha.
besides the sub.
Which how many seasons are there in My Hero Academia right now?
4.
4.
They're
just-
in the middle of 4 right now.
The subs are finished on 4, but they haven't dropped the dubs for them yet because all of this happened.
It's dubbed. You just
Well-
have to find a website for it.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I've watched the majority of it dubbed, so I think I'm there's like 10 more episodes or something to the season that I didn't have yet.
Right.
But so that might be done now. I can probably go back and finish it. But yeah, it was just weird, and I liked it. I liked My Hero Academia. I recommend it, but don't watch it right after you finish One Punch Man.
Yeah.
Don't do it. But watch both of those animes. Don't watch them one right after the other. Just don't. Put
Right.
something in between.
I think you might be able to get away if you watch My Hero first.
If you watch My
You
Hero
could
first, and
probably-
then One Punch Man might be extra funny.
It might be even more funny because you'll see
Yeah.
all this like long storytelling and backstory.
I can
crap
totally
of,
see. I can totally
you know-
see it watching it flip from what
Right,
you
right.
you
Yeah.
did, but maybe stick something in between. Like maybe if you would have
Something
watched,
short, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
some small
Like,
like,
so
Like that movie that Harrison showed us. What was that one? That was
Dragon Ball Evolution.
no, not that.
always.
No,
It's always the answer.
the silent one.
Oh, yeah,
Also
yeah,
Deaf
yeah.
A
Girl.
silent voice.
a silent voice. Watch that in between. That way you can get
Yeah.
like super serious. Like you can go from like sort of goofy with a lot of serious and backstories and things to like ultra serious, and then just shatter your world with One Punch Man.
Right.
Just
so yeah, Tim has been active without truly being active.
yeah, I'm just going to work.
Yeah.
My life is normal.
Yeah.
So-
Other than the fact that I have to deliver stuff in Illinois, and they're like the world's most communist state. So honestly, starting Friday, they implemented their law. Friday was the first, so they implemented their law. If you're outside in Illinois and you're not wearing a mask, you get a $1,000 fine.
Oh man.
So my company luckily was they were requiring masks for a little while. They stopped, but they still provide masks. So all those guys that go to Illinois, they're giving us masks still. So we have them, and so every time we get out of the truck, we get to wear a little mask and hate life, but we're not getting a $1,000 fine.
That's good.
Well, yeah, but we gotta be wearing the masks.
Yeah,
Gotta
so-
not get sick.
Me and Devin work in the same place.
Right.
Well, my day job and Devin's job is the same. I have a second job, but we will get into that later. We've been working,
Right.
and it doesn't seem like it's any slower.
Oh my gosh, no! It's just as busy. It's just, I mean, honestly, most of the time when I'm at work, I forget that there's this whole like
Yeah.
thing going on. Even though a huge part of my job is now changed, like we're not open to the public. You can't walk in and just order stuff from me face to face.
What was your percentage of walk-ins before?
like towards the actual store business?
Yeah.
Not very much, honestly. I would say it's
Well,
probably
So
like-
it doesn't feel that much different, really.
I would say it's like probably 35. Now it feels worse because they can't come in, but now they have to call. So
So-
we have to deal with them over the phone, like take their credit card information, charge
Oh
it,
god, that's
bring it all outside so when they get there to pick it up, they can just grab it without really ever talking to me, kind of thing. So we have
Yeah.
honestly more business on that front than we have
It-
all.
And
any point in
it's
the
probably
year.
more time consuming.
I would say it
it's a lot
definitely
more
seems more time.
consuming,
Yeah.
and-
So
Just-
you might actually feel more busy than you. Than
Oh,
you did before.
lots more busy. And on top of that, you know, with issues with the whole pandemic thing, we've had plenty of our drivers being, taking days off because they want to make sure that.
Well, we lost the driver completely.
Yeah, and then there's one driver that's been gone for like 3 weeks because of.
Well, he quit.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's a lot of controversy between me, Nick, or between me, Artie, which you guys will meet Artie through one of our later podcasts. Me, Artie, and Tim, our boss, not the Tim that's in here, our boss,
There's a lot of Tims.
Yeah.
on what happened. Like, so shortly before he
Stop.
went on his I'm leaving because
Hiatus.
of this thing, he was telling me that he got a job offer to make more money. And then within like 2 days, all of a sudden, he was just like, my wife doesn't want me to work because she knows somebody that died from this
That
stuff.
seems like BS.
So
That sucks.
I'm not going into that. I mean, that's politics within our work that doesn't need to
Yeah,
get out.
that's his
but,
business, whatever.
You
But
just-
anyway, I've
But
been
yeah,
driving
we-
also, and honestly, I kind of been pretty busy at work, and I'm liking it. But at the same time, it's extra stressful.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been working a lot of overtime as well.
But honestly, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but driving right now, because
Is
three of us, our jobs involve driving. Driving right now is super easy.
It's so weird,
Yeah,
though.
okay, they're
It
doing
depends.
they're doing
Like, they're
like,
doing
they're
so
doing-
much work.
They're doing a lot of construction on 70, like going from like
Oh, yeah.
Missouri
I hate
into
that.
Illinois, and like from our county to St. Louis County.
There's construction everywhere.
So there's construction everywhere, but the thing is, every day when I drive through the construction zones,
That's it.
because of the virus, no one's out. Like I was driving through a construction zone in my box truck. I was just I could do 100 miles an hour through this construction zone right now, and no one would notice because no one's here.
Right. There's definitely a lot of that too.
They
It's
definitely
terrible.
timed it well with the construction on all the
Yeah,
highways.
they're
and
doing
stuff.
they're doing extra construction. Like,
They're doing work that they would normally have
Unnecessary
postponed
work.
and done maybe
it's like,
overnight.
I drove by the Recplex this morning. They're redoing their entire parking
Yeah.
lot because no one's there.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying is like they're definitely timing all this construction very well because one, not as many people are going to be on the roads during the day, so it allows the construction crews to not have to block traffic. So here,
So they're
on-
blocking extra lanes because they can.
yeah,
Yeah.
over here
On
they
64,
were repaving some. It needed work.
for sure, and it still does.
What happened on the
Unfortunately,
highway?
The funny thing is that after they fixed all that stuff, I think it's worse than it was before.
it's at least just as bad.
But there's something I noticed though that they had. It wasn't. I just noticed it Friday that it looks like they ground down part of it,
Did
so
they?
all the
Okay.
extra bumps that came from the concrete are smoothed out. So the first half it was still kind of bad,
Mhm.
but that's all ground down now. So that's like butter.
All right.
And then
cool.
as you get closer to Lake St. Louis Boulevard, it goes right back to
Yeah, because I was like, man, they did this so quickly, which is great because it didn't take that long. But maybe you should have spent a little bit more time on
Right,
this,
so
guys.
spend
think
an
the
extra
point-
day or two on it and make sure it doesn't
I
it doesn't
basically
feel worse than it
always
did
drive
before.
in the left lane because the right lane is where it's
Yeah, and
messed
we
up.
normally drive trucks, so I try to stay in the left lane
Right.
because I'm normally in a bigger truck, and I don't like to eat up the fast lane for the people that want to pass me and you know.
Right.
be
Right, a
stupid.
lot of us with the bigger trucks, we stay out of the left lane unless we're passing another big truck.
But on that, no, you just left lane it and they can deal
Yeah.
because that's
Well,
horrible.
Well,
and I don't
especially
drive on that.
at my company, because all of our trucks are GPS. So if we go over the speed limit, they know.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
I can't go more than 7 miles an hour over the speed limit, or it ticks me. And if I hit 80 at any point in time, I'm getting a write up.
No
so
kidding.
so if I sit in the left lane, I'm gonna block the hell out of traffic on a lot of roads because especially when you get closer to the city,
Oh,
people
they fly.
don't know what the speed limit is. They just assume it's 110. So
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm
because
pretty,
it's 110 everywhere.
I'm pretty sure it's like not even that high at all down there
Yeah.
in most of those parts.
I think the coolest thing about Arkansas is that the speed limit is like 80.
Oh my goodness.
well, okay, here's
Yeah.
there are parts in Missouri that have speed limits at 80.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Once you start to
Towards
get down to the
Poplar
rural
Bluff.
areas,
But-
like anywhere past Wentzville, it's 70.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then if you go a little further than that, it does hit 80 as right
Yeah.
before you hit like right after. I think it's after Columbia on the way into Kansas City. It really
well
hits
before
80.
you get to Columbia, it goes back down to 65 for
Right.
a
It
little
goes-
stretch.
through Columbia because it's a major city.
Well, no, before Columbia.
Yeah.
But
Welcome to the tangent traffic report.
Right.
Anyway, so Devin, outside of work, what have you been up to?
on that though, just as an FYI, don't sit in the fast lane ever.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't be that jerk.
Don't be that.
All right.
guy.
And if you ever feel like you're going faster than everybody, then use the fast lane. Don't swerve through traffic and cut me off between another fucking big truck, because then you're an asshole and you're just trying to get yourself killed. And I don't feel like smashing into you.
What?
Dumbass drivers. Anyway,
Okay, so that was his
his little
Hey,
anger tangent.
I kind of drive for a living too, though. Except I drive a car.
Yeah, you deliver pizzas.
Don't
Anyway,
swerve
Yeah,
through
that's
traffic.
different shit now.
Way to just shit all over him.
That's
Delivery.
different now, James.
it is different, and we'll get to some of the changes
Yeah,
in
you guys
our
can
jobs.
talk about contactless deliveries.
Yeah,
later.
we can get it, but let's talk about what Devin's been doing outside of work.
So I've been smugly enjoying the fact that wrestling is still happening, even though everybody else lost their sports. And I will comment on the fact that it is obviously very different and interesting because there's no crowds, but at the same time, it gives it a little bit more of an element of enjoyability for me because I don't have to listen to the crappy crowds. Sometimes they're annoying.
Yeah.
Let's go Cena.
Like I miss the crowd for NXT because their participation in the show has always been part of the show and they're amazing. On Raw though, I love the fact that there's not a crowd because they can just do their thing, and sometimes the wrestlers have been shit talking each other now in the middle of their matches to add a little bit of more like, hey, now you can enjoy.
Well, the thing is, like, they were doing that before. You just could never hear what they were saying.
Yeah, there wasn't as much of it hurt for
Although,
sure.
it
They're definitely hyping it up a little bit more with.
Well, the
their,
thing is, like, I'm kind of curious because it used to be that they used the fact that you couldn't hear them to their advantage because they'd be able to say stuff to each other about what they're trying. So have they come up with like a code? Like when I trash talk in this way, that's when we're supposed to do this.
Oh
No, because you know what? That'd be great. I would want to hear the details of this secret code. That
Would actually be that's actually a very good idea. I mean, because he's right. I mean, we all know that they talk to each other during the matches.
There is quite a bit of choreography to it, so they could easily just use that as like a, hey, when I say this, that's when you know, okay, it's time for that.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
But they like
anyways.
even though they're like they choreograph the broad strokes of the matches, a lot of it's improv when they actually get out there.
Yeah, definitely. But anyways, I don't want to spend too much time on wrestling. WrestleMania though was very interesting because they made it a 2-night extravaganza, still no crowd, but honestly it was a lot better than you'd think, and I went in with very low expectations and came out incredibly satisfied.
And that's probably the way you should have gone into it with low expectations, because
Yeah.
the lower your expectations are, the
better
more
it's
likely
gonna
you
be.
are to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
That's just with
That's
anything.
kind of
I've
how I
learned
watch
that-
things anyways, and
I've
that's
learned
why
that with movies is one
I
of my
enjoy
big things.
things
I do
quite
that
a
with.
bit better when I'm like that because, you know, you could say that for like Marvel movies. I've kind of gotten to a point where instead of like let me watch this Marvel movie and pick apart everything that's not accurate to what I know in the comics, it's like, wait a second, there's like thousands of different versions of
Right.
X amount of characters
And
in
that's-
the
and that's-
comics.
Honestly, that's
so
what irks me most about people who watch the Marvel movies and do that is
Yeah.
like, dude, seriously, it's as though you're reading an Elseworlds comic. All right, you have to take whatever rules they give you.
Let them
Right?
tell
This is
their
a whole-
story
this is a
with the
whole
rules
new
they have.
universe. Just disregard how they did it, like, because you can get Elseworlds versions of like Marvel stories where they do the same story but differently. Like when they did Ultimate Spider-Man, and they did Carnage killing Gwen Stacy. Spoilers.
Right.
But they did Carnage killing Gwen Stacy, and it was a completely different way of going about that same storyline.
Right.
And no one complained and was like, "Oh, that's not how that's supposed to happen," because you know what? It was different, and you knew it was going to be different.
Yeah, people read comics and don't question it or yell at it or any of that. But then if
Well, I
it's
mean,
done
they,
as a
they
movie,
do, but not necessarily for those reasons.
yeah, it's
They-
critiqued in a very different manner.
Yeah.
You guys know that the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man joined the MCU?
Did he
no
really?
way.
I think that there's
They're
there's
like,
definitely room to do that with like a Spider.
well, like they're not like actually like making more movies or anything like that, but
Right.
they like
Are they
said
having
that
Tobey
all the-
Maguire come back and
well,
like
same
do a
with like
cameo or
the
something?
Andrew Garfield movies. Like they're saying like all of those movies are part of the MCU.
Well, they bought Sony, right? So they own the
didn't
rights to those movies.
buy
now,
it,
yeah?
I don't think.
Well, they bought the rights to
the
something.
rights
yeah,
back.
yeah. They
Well, I
there's
thought
some
I
kind
thought
of
the
deal
contract. There's
Like,
some
Venom
weird,
is gonna
There's
join.
a lot of weird wording in
I
that
thought that
contract.
Venom joining was part of the original idea. I thought like Venom and Spider-Man were both supposed to be like inside the MCU. They were supposed to work together
So
on that.
Venom is still
Sony.
Sony owned, like
And as
completely.
far as I've read, it's always kind of just been something that Sony wanted to do on their own because they didn't want to
And then
quite
they
give
did.
up on making Spider-Man
I don't-
and the properties that they owned in that universe profitable.
I don't see a whole
I
lot of
feel like
point in doing things on like Spider-Man's rogues, even the symbiotes, without
that's
Spider-Man in your universe.
But
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
what they're doing now with the next movie that's going to be about like Carnage or whatever, with
Okay.
Venom 2.
Yeah. but anyways.
They actually are going to connect it with like the current Spider-Man, like in the MCU.
Well, from what I heard from the contract between Disney and Sony for the rights to Spider-Man, is Disney doesn't have full rights. Spider-Man is still owned by Sony.
Mhm.
Disney just has the ability to use the image of Spider-Man
Creatively.
within their universe up to a certain number of movies.
they have
So
certain
they
rights.
have so many movies
Well,
that
they
can
have,
use
they have,
Spider-Man.
they have a
and
weird
that's it.
combined
Which is kind
combined
of what's
rights to
un-
that contract.
for
But with
Disney,
Venom,
that's
it's not like
unfortunate.
that.
But also, it's. I mean, I'm not going to say that Disney's freaking king here, and that Sony's not capable of making something out
I
of
mean,
their rights with Spider-Man. But
truthfully,
like,
Sony.
it
so-
really sucks that Disney doesn't have the rights to Spider-Man fully because they have the perfect character to now carry the torch for
Right,
their franchise.
but truthfully, the first Garfield movie was really good.
It was a great groundwork. It was a different kind of
yeah,
Spider-Man.
yeah.
It was
Think
was
of it
a
in an
different kind of
Elseworlds
Spider-Man.
kind
It was
of
an
Spider-Verse
Elseworld Spider-Man.
Right.
And it was a lot of good groundwork that they completely blew up in the second movie.
one.
Because the
Right.
second movie was just a 2-hour-long trailer for their expanded universe that wasn't interesting.
Agreed.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. The very first one was okay. Good is a relative word.
You
It
kinda
was
got-
good to a point that
In-
they
in my-
had groundwork for something good that
Yeah,
could have
right.
been great. But when they made the second movie, they messed it up. I mean, it's no different than the Tobey Maguire stuff. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire." That first movie was good groundwork for something that could be great, and
And
then
the second one didn't do a half bad job. It was the third one.
That third one, the whole emo freak. Oh.
Sony has a very obvious
That was
plan
funny.
that they want to do with Spider-Man that they have failed to do because it's honestly not that great of a plan.
Well, and if you look,
They just
at,
want to make it Spider-Man versus all of his rogues. and-
Honestly, I think
and you can't just throw that into a movie. You have to
and
build
the
it.
thing is
the
that-
MCU, I think, has brought a lot of good things to comic book movies, but also a lot of bad habits.
Right.
Because the MCU has convinced a lot of people making comic book movies that they should make this big, giant, overarching plan instead of making movie by movie
Right.
just a naturally evolving storyline
Right.
that just unfolds as you go. Because the MCU, while we think of it as a big overarching storyline, leading from Iron Man 1 all the way through Endgame,
yeah,
it's not really.
Iron Man
yeah,
movies
because
are
if you
good.
look at Iron Man-
each movie is its own individual movie
Right.
Yeah.
with threads.
right.
To the
And-
next one.
And
the
instead
one before.
of threads, especially Amazing Spider-Man 2, that wasn't threads leading to a series of movies. Those are freaking like giant steel cables trying to hold your movie together.
Right. Yeah.
And-
it was clunky.
Yeah.
There's too
Well,
much.
I mean, each movie in the MCU could hold its own without having to deal with anything else. If it
Yeah,
was just by
outside-
itself,
Yeah.
if just played by itself, it would do great. It didn't need the overarching story to compete in
Right.
in the world of the movie business.
And
Right.
and you can,
And that's
especially
what-
tell because the earlier movies, if you watch Iron Man 1 and then Endgame, and you tell someone to give you an ad lib of how they think you get from one to the other, they're not gonna know
crazy
because it
stuff.
doesn't make sense if you only watch the beginning and the end because it wasn't a huge
Each
overarching
step
story.
was just
It
as
was
important.
it was a step by step,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, with a whole bunch of movies to get you there.
And a lot of the times within the movie, they didn't even put any thread towards the end game movie. The
Yeah, they
thread was
very-
the credit clip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. They did really well. But anyways, we've gone off on a whole
So
other
you
tangent.
guys know that like Kim Jong Un's kind of like dead or whatever.
He's not
Dead
dead.
He's
or
not
whatever.
Well, there was a bunch of memes because they like said that his sister was gonna take over, and they've been drawing her in like anime like style pictures.
I-
It's really funny.
Like,
See them.
Like they're
Kim-
making her a waifu.
Kim Jong Un's sister looks like freaking Skeletor in real life. All right, I'm just gonna put that out there. Second, he is probably fine. I could see him going into hiding from all this, which is North Korea's official story. And so far, anyone who, any of the representatives from other countries that have gone there have confirmed that, yeah, he's fine. He's just in a bunker.
Right.
So while this is a situation where it could swiftly turn into a military coup and one of his high generals could, go assassinate him because he's sitting in a freaking bunker, it's easy to find him. But there is a lot of evidence that supports this story because where they say he might be, there's one, a bunker, two, his luxury yacht is sitting there, and three, his luxury train is also sitting there. So yeah, he's probably there.
But anyways,
Anyway, so I mean, wrestling.
wrestling has been keeping me entertained while I'm not working. I've been watching a lot of, well, not a lot of. I watched How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, which is on Hulu. It's like one season, like 12 or 14 episodes.
An
or something
anime
like
or a
that. It's an
non-anime?
anime, yeah. It's pretty good. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Watched it in like a day. And then now I'm watching Yu Yu Hakusho, which I can't say enough good things about it.
Yu Yu Hakusho was great.
It is-
Honestly, I've been trying to get around to watching a newer anime that I've been hearing some stuff about on the anime channels on YouTube.
What's that?
It's I can't pronounce the first word. It's one of the characters' names. It's like Salamni or Salamni in the Forest Spirit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard it.
So
I've heard it.
I have issues with that first word because I haven't actually been able to hear it
Just
out
call
loud.
it salami.
It's-
Salami.
But it's
Salami.
it's a alternate world where humans and like weird like creatures like trolls and
Mhm.
elves and all these different creatures they got along for a while and then the humans went, you know what, you all look weird, we're gonna have a war.
Right.
And then the humans lost the war terribly. So they were being hunted. So it's been hundreds of years since then, and anytime one of these creatures find a human, they automatically kill them. But it's been so long that they don't always know what humans look like. So,
That sounds.
like it's just, like it's almost like think about it like how we treat monsters and creatures and they're mythical. But if you don't care about legends and stuff, then you might not know what they're supposed to look like if someone gives you like a weird name.
Right.
So
yeah.
that's kind of how they treat humans. Like they always hear that humans, are bad and evil and you should destroy them on sight, but they don't know what they look like necessarily unless they're like a history buff. So this golem, a stone golem, who the golems are guardians of wherever they're supposed to be, and he's a forest guardian. He finds a little human girl in the middle of the woods. It's all chained up. And he's like, I'm going to go find a clan of humans to give you to. And he goes on this big journey and takes her, and she treats him like he's her dad because she's like 5. And it's just supposed to be this adorable little trek of the two of them wandering the wastelands and him trying to
find a human.
well he dresses her up like she's a monster and like tells her not to go do anything stupid, but she's 5. And
That sounds super good. I want to watch
That sounds
too.
cool.
yeah, I want to watch it. It seems really interesting.
I'm definitely interested in that. Something. You guys watched Attack on Titan, right?
No.
I watched the first season.
Okay, so I haven't, but I recognize like the animation style of it. And so there's this show I was watching on Hulu. I watched like a couple of episodes. My buddy was watching it and told me to check it out. But I'm so into Yu right now that
Yeah.
I
What
haven't gotten
season?
into-
What
I'm-
story arc are you into right now?
I'm in the middle of the Dark Tournament.
Okay, so
Right,
that's
the
what the third or fourth
second,
storyline.
like midway through the second season. So
Right,
it's
because
like
that first season was real busy. They had like 2 or 3 storylines.
yeah,
that
there
season,
was
like,
quite
all
a
crammed
bit,
together.
you know, like so. But that's really what I've been doing lately. But I watched this show called Drifters, a couple episodes of it, and the premise of it is pretty freaking dope. Basically, like just this warrior, like samurai dude in feudal times is like in the middle of a battle, and basically he dies in the battle, and he goes to this place. It's like a hallway. There's just like this dude sitting there, kind of like a receptionist.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like smoking cigarettes. He's like, next, and the guy comes up, and then like he just throws him into this other room, and basically, what I got from it, I haven't quite figured it all out yet. But what I got from it is, at the moment of his death, his soul was sent to a different kind of world,
Yeah.
and now he's in this other world known as a drifter. And there's like elves and like all these other kind of creatures that like are out to get him because he's a drifter.
Okay.
Kind of similar premise that you reminded me of there, and it was pretty awesome. Lots of gore, so I was digging that.
That made me think of Dragon Ball
So,
Yeah.
with King Yama.
Well, King Yama is an actual.
Yeah, there's a lot of
that's an actual figure. In,
yeah.
in a lot
That's
of
in Yu Yu
mythologies.
Hakusho too.
That made me think of Dragon
so
But
outside of
that's kind of what I figured too. I figured like the guy with a cigarette might be King Yama or their version of King
Yeah,
Yama.
yeah. He looked like a human.
Because
or
the
an
only
elf or
purpose that
something,
King Yama served in a lot of Chinese folklore was he was just like he was like Saint Peter at the gate.
Yeah,
he just tells you where you go.
Yeah, you
That's,
go
that's
this
all he
way.
does. Like you die, you go to the afterlife, you see King Yama, and he goes, "All right, here's what you were like in real life, and you go there.
Right.
You go to this, you go to this hell because they have a lot of hells, or you go to this heaven because they have a lot of those, and or you go to this kind of purgatory. And like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's that's what's I love stories like that.
So outside of anime, have you done any gaming?
I have been playing. So I was actually wanting to play like a Dragon Ball Z game last weekend, but I didn't have any anymore, and I went on to the PlayStation store to see. Okay, let me see what Dragon Ball Z game I wanted to buy, but I didn't want to get like Kakarot, the new one, because that's just like a playthrough Dragon Ball Z is Goku. That's every game ever, you know.
Well, the thing is, it kind of reminds me of the old if you played the Legend of Goku games back
Yeah.
on like the advanced.
Right? Yeah.
Which the Legend of Goku games were actually really good, and I'm sad that they're so expensive now because I wanted to play them again.
Right.
But I've been hoping for a Dragon Ball Z game, kind of like Kakarot for a while, because I didn't want just another fighting game, and I didn't want an MMO.
I don't know, but Fighters is like a pretty good game.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I didn't want just a fighting game.
Yeah, I didn't.
Like I'm tired of the fighting. I'm tired of because Budokai and what was it Ultimate 22 and after all these
Ultimate
years
22 was a fun one though.
after all these years of just getting fighting game after fighting game after fighting game, I want something else.
Right.
I want like an RPG style like Dragon Ball Z game. That's what I want.
I would
Like old school style.
I would recommend the Xenoverse games, Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
2 of them. Those are pretty good.
Is
You get to
Xeno-
make your own character in them. Like you can-
Xenoverse on PlayStation?
Yeah, PlayStation or Xbox.
It's on everything.
I think
Okay.
it's,
I couldn't remember
think it's
if they
even on
did
the
that.
Switch and PC.
Which
and stuff.
I almost picked that up a long
But
time ago.
I'd already played both of those games, and I was just like, I could just rebuy them and play them again on my, digitally on my PlayStation. But I saw that the first 3 Naruto Ninja Storm games were bundled together for like $20 with DLC. So I bought that, and over the last week I've put like 20 to 30 hours into the first Naruto Ninja Storm game.
Nice.
That's been
Pretty
a lot
good.
of fun. Yeah.
Have you been reading anything lately?
Not really. I mean, I catch up on the manga chapters and stuff like that. Still, I tried to get some of the books started, but
Did we get you into Raven Shadow?
no. Honestly, with what the biggest issue that I've had so far with the quarantine or the whole pandemic thing is that the freaking gym is closed, and honestly, like, that's the most prime time for me to listen to things because I'm not interrupted by what I'm doing.
Well,
so
I
I try to at
listen-
work.
I listen.
Well, while you're
I tried to
working,
read that
Yeah.
one Emily Murdoch book that we.
Oh yeah.
I
If you
tried
find
to.
it.
Yeah, I got
I read that.
I got
That's
like
amazing.
an hour in.
Did you get it? Did you
I
read
was
that?
just too distracted,
That-
and
yeah.
it sucked because I was like, man, I don't have anywhere that I can just listen to this and not be distracted.
While you're driving, could you listen to anything?
Yeah, I
else?
didn't anything.
Because that's when I listen to
But
books.
that
Like,
that-
if
took
I-
me a
for a
couple
couple
hours
hours
in the morning. I
yeah.
could do that.
like you could
I've
bust
been
out. You could bust out if you
busted.
find me in like 2 or 3 days.
Oh, it was
if
only
you
yeah.
have
It took me a
hours
couple
day.
days. It's not a
But
very
it's
long book.
a pretty short book.
I definitely.
It's only like what 6 or 8 hours.
Yeah, I don't remember. It wasn't very long, but I burned.
Oh,
through
Because I
it.
got a
good.
whole list on my phone of the stuff that we talked about.
Yeah.
But
what to listen to.
Raven Shadow, the trilogy, the guy who wrote that just released a new Raven book. He's gonna start another trilogy in that same universe.
Oh.
And I'm about 2/3 of the way through the new book, and it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I didn't know that he had released it, but I'm the one that showed Tim
Yeah.
that they released it because I'm going through the old trilogy now. And while I was looking for the books, this new book popped up. I'm like, well, what is this? And I read the description. I was like, it's got the main character in it.
And what,
Heck
you know,
yeah!
you know what's funny? I looked up the writer Anthony Ryan. I looked him up like middle of last year to see if he was working on anything. I got no hits on anything. This book just came out of nowhere for me.
He could very well have just wrote it. He could have wrote it in private and then just like, oh, by the way, here.
Well, also, it's been a while since he released a book, and if you were following Raven Shadow like me and James were when they were coming out, like when I got into the series, only the first book was out, and it was 2 months before the next book came out.
Yeah, because
And then I finished the second book, and he put the third one out like the next year. He writes these things really fast.
Well, and the thing is that Tower Lord. I remember when Tower Lord came out, we couldn't even find it on audio right away.
Right.
I ended up trying to read, and I'm going to use the word trying to read the book in book form because you let me borrow it after you finished it, and I just had trouble reading it.
Well,
and then boom, there was
when they finally came out
yes!
when they finally came out with the audio, I was halfway through reading the book physically, and so I just picked it up in audio from where I left off, and I finished it that way. But like he busted these books out really fast.
Yeah, he writes pretty quickly.
And I was really glad because I was looking for something when we were reading Kingkiller, and the third Kingkiller book still isn't out. But I was trying to find something to fill the time between when Patrick Rothfuss is going to finally put out that third book.
We're still trying to find stuff to
And
fill the time while he finishes
seriously,
that book.
between the time that Patrick Rothfuss had put out his second book and still hasn't put out the third book, Anthony Ryan has put out 4 books. Like,
Yeah.
Crazy.
Take notes.
Yeah. But, so other than that, I mean, just a few video games and some anime.
I've been playing some Jedi: The Fallen Order here and there too, and that's super enjoyable. But
I have a buddy that he finished the game. He said, yeah, you can take it whenever you want. And I'm just like, I want to, but there's a couple other games in line that
That's
I
the
wanna
hardest
finish
part
first.
about gaming and catching up on nerd stuff is like there's so much content and then you got to make decisions on what to do.
That-
first
which
and-
I kind of view as like a curse and a blessing.
yeah,
Right.
right,
'Cause,
right.
like the coronavirus, like I've been catching up on Critical Role, which is a live play Dungeons and Dragons game with a bunch of voice actors. They do it on Twitch and YouTube, and they have a podcast. I've been catching up on Campaign 2. They have 99 episodes, and they've been on hold because of Corona.
right.
And as a result, these things are like between 3.5 to 5 hours long a pop. Right?
Oh, yeah.
99 episodes. I'm on episode like 94 now. Right? So what during this thing initially, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. It's gonna give me a chance to catch up to them live. And now I'm afraid that I'm gonna be on episode 99, and they're
You're
still gonna be on
gonna-
hold for like another month or two.
Right. You never know, honestly.
So-
Everything's a question mark now.
We got off on a bunch of tangents. Harrison, I don't want to speak for you.
Right, Harrison,
But-
what have you been doing during the?
For 2 of those weeks, you were really sick. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you were bedridden.
Do you know what you had?
Beats me.
Well, it did beat you, but like it's. Yeah,
I mean,
you were down for the count.
I don't know what I had.
That's one of the main reasons why we've taken a break. Harrison wasn't able to.
Yeah,
get out of
we
bed.
tried to soldier on through this, but you know, because Devin was
Devin
sick for a
got
while
sick
too.
first.
Yeah.
So Devin was sicking down. He was gonna miss at least 2 weeks,
yeah, I think.
and then
something like that.
and then we were gonna keep going and do an episode without him, which we didn't want to do because we wanted him there for that particular episode, but we were just like, okay, we need to just keep going.
The show goes
And
on.
right, and then Harrison was down that week too, and we were just like, well, guess
We'll just take a break. I
yeah.
mean, and truthfully, it really doesn't. I mean, I didn't want to stop.
Right.
I didn't want to stop.
And we
making
did discuss
content.
trying to do other small things to like fill the gaps, but yeah, it didn't exactly work out the way we wanted. We might still do some of those ideas though.
Yeah. We are starting next week. This is, like I said, our get
Come
back to
back
know
around,
us
yeah.
type. You know, let you guys know what we've been up
Yeah,
to.
I'm kind of wondering what
few
the hell we're
things.
gonna name this episode.
We
figure it out.
do have
Yeah.
I do have at least 2 good subjects that could take up some time for the next couple, but we have a bunch of
Unedited episodes.
unedited episodes that need to come up. So
He dropped
we have
that.
plenty of content for you people. I'm just gonna let you guys know
people.
that
What do you mean, you people?
for the fans out there, we have plenty of content for you guys. It's just you might have to just be patient with us and give us some time to get it out there to you, but it'll get out there, I promise. There's a couple really good episodes I know we recorded
Yeah.
before the pandemic
Yeah.
happened that I think you guys will all enjoy. Again,
Yeah, we
it's just
finally
gonna take some-
got Survival put out, which I was
did.
looking forward to.
I did
Yeah.
we did drop the survival episode last week. That was just kind of it was there. I wanted to get something out. I put it out. There wasn't a whole lot of fanfare that went with it. I just dropped it. I didn't
Yeah,
say
and-
nothing. I didn't
Honestly,
advertise it.
we recorded that Survival episode before this whole
Oh, yeah.
pandemic was a thing, really.
Yeah,
Right.
long before it.
And so that just sort of kind of worked out. Like that Survival episode is not about this pandemic at all.
Oh,
it was,
absolutely
It
not.
was just
It
sort
was
of
just-
there.
It's just basic wilderness survival. It
Yeah.
wasn't even. It's not even about how to survive an apocalypse. It's just basic wilderness. I mean, you guys, it's out there. Listen to it.
They're
enjoy.
lying to you.
I kind of wanted to hear if Harrison actually. I understand you were sick, and we had to discuss this. Me and you watched anything new? Tried to play any new games?
Yeah, I played Celeste, which is a really, really good game. It's a platformer. It's pretty hard. And I played, like, through all the levels, and then there's these things called B-sides, which, like, it's even harder versions of the levels, like, of all the levels. I beat those, too. And then I beat the C-sides, which was, like, the last challenge of the game. Feel pretty accomplished with myself because that game is, like, ridiculously hard, but, like, and it gives you like a death counter, and I died like 8,000 times.
Holy cow!
Damn.
But I loved it.
So what's the name of the game again?
Celeste.
And what's the premise?
It's
I've never heard of it. So
well,
I've heard of it. I don't know that much about it.
the story. It's a game about depression,
Huh.
but it's also like a fun platformer with really good music.
oh, cool. I mean,
You
music
basically-
and gaming always gone
Did they,
together. I mean,
did they
it's one of those
do?
things.
I don't know if you keep up with Games Done Quick. The
I've
speed
seen
runs.
that. Yeah,
I think they might have done a speed run of Celeste
They have.
during their last event or the event before.
yeah, they did it in like 50 minutes, and the speed run's insane. Like,
Yeah. But
crazy.
they're
I'll have to take a look at some of the
Yeah.
gameplay.
I love watching
Game is
people
awesome.
just play games in weird ways.
Yeah.
well, I like watching games done quick. A lot of the games they do, like they do fun weird challenges and junk, and
Mm.
so like the GDQ events are really nice because they'll do like donation incentives, things that like make the game harder or extra things that they have to do before they can say that they're done. Or
Right. Yeah.
So outside of the video game, any new animes, any new TV shows,
Well-
anything crazy?
I watched My Hero. Loved that.
Yeah, we discussed that earlier.
I watched YouTube a lot.
I have a
There's
tendency to
yeah,
watch. I've been
that's-
watching a
that's
lot of
another-
YouTube.
yeah,
also.
like I said, I
People
watched
have been
I
much
watched
more active on
all
stuff
the-
like that.
I watched almost all of Critical Role. That's almost 400 hours of
I've seen like
watching voice actors play Dungeons and Dragons.
like
Right.
this guy's like been trying to play like Sonic Adventure 1 only as Big the Cat, and it's like really hilarious. I don't know if any of you know anything about
Yeah,
Sonic, but
some-
little bit.
somewhat.
I,
Played them as a
the,
kid.
the only thing I know is someone I knew who was really big into Sonic said that like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 were like the last good Sonic games.
yeah,
That was a long time ago.
I feel that way.
Yeah.
Except Mania. Mania's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I'm
about
not-
it, huh?
what year did-
YouTube and a little bit of video gaming, huh?
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, I've been doing the same stuff. Just kind of
You've been going back to work, yeah?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you work
Been
at
working.
he works at my second job, which is how I know Harrison.
Yeah.
So we've
That's
been
the
working.
thing.
Okay, so now we're gonna come to me. My life is super boring. I get up in the morning, I go to work, I come home, I get ready to go back to work. That's pretty much my life.
Honestly,
Well, let's move on.
honestly, I think the person with the most exciting life here is probably Devin, and that's sad.
What? Why me?
Because you do stuff after
Yeah,
work.
because you're the only one who actually does stuff probably, and you don't really do anything exciting. You're,
Yeah, I
you're
was
a boring
about to
human.
say, yeah, I'm boring too. What?
Like you're the least boring of all us boring humans. Like
Dude,
But
I
the
played
one
Smash
thing-
Bros
the one-
last night.
You play Smash Bros every night, though.
No, I
you
went
and half
over to
the
Cole's
crew.
house and played Smash Bros.
You
whoa,
and half our crew at
did you
Domino.
sit 6 feet apart?
No.
Oh wow!
So-
Living dangerously.
So we work at a pizza chain as my second job, and Harrison works with me, like I said. Like, half the crew there is all addicted to Smash
Like which one?
on the Switch.
Okay, so ultimate.
I think it's in part because of said person.
Cool, which is
Yeah.
fine. We had one.
Yeah.
We have a guy there that he got his Switch and he got Smash Bros. And he is really good at this game. I don't. For those of you who are into the Smash Bros. World, the game itself is way more complicated than people give it.
I don't know
Yeah,
about
we'll
that.
take
I
it.
feel like
Here-
most of the people that are into the Smash Bros. World know that
I have
already.
I have an
because-
idea of why
Yeah.
people might think that who are into fighting games because. When I was really into fighting games and I was going to like tournaments and things was back during like Tekken 5 and DR, and I think it was Smash Brothers Brawl or Melee that was out.
Probably
during the time.
Melee.
So yeah, I think it might have been Melee. So those are the only it was like Melee and the first Smash Brothers, and those are the only two that were out. Yeah, because Melee was the second one.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was the only two Smash Brother games that were out, and we had at a big fighting game tournament that I went to a bunch of different fighting games, and there was a side tournament for Smash because the fighting game,
It's a
the
completely
big
different
fighting game guys didn't want to exclude them because they wanted to play and they wanted them to show up, but none of the big fighting game guys participated because at the time Smash was not considered a competitive fighting game because
And it's huge now.
it is
Yeah.
now, but there was a lot of things in the first couple of Smash Brothers games that really precluded it from being a viable competitive fighting game.
Right.
Yeah, but now Melee.
But as the games have evolved, but the thing is that you can say that about a lot of old fighting games. Like if you go back to Tekken, the first really viable Tekken game to have tournaments with was like 3 and Tekken Tag.
I was about to say 3.
Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 were not games you could play in a tournament setting. Like they were not tournament ready games.
Yeah.
Virtua Fighter up to Virtua Fighter 3 until 3, those games weren't viable in it. Until, Street Fighter Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, you didn't really get a good, well balanced enough Street Fighter game. Like, so the early fighting games were not good enough in pretty much any of these series. So it was understandable as to why the early Smash games weren't tournament ready games.
And the thing is that
But
most people I talk to about Smash, I'm not a Smash guy. I was never any good at fighting games whatsoever. But they always talk about Melee being like the game that got them into Smash. And then Brawl came out, and then what else came out after Brawl?
Smash 4.
Was it Smash 4?
Yeah.
And then the new one on the Switch, they just keep getting better and better. Now the new one on the Switch, this freaking everybody wants to play this game now. Like there are tournaments all over. There are bars, literal bars that hold tournaments where they fill the bar up with people just to play Smash, and they give cash prizes for it.
Right.
And I'm like, this isn't a bar. I mean, people are in here. Most people who go to bars are not nerds and want to play video games. They just go to drink.
Changed.
A lot of the hate from the fighting game community side comes from the old days of Smash, where they stopped paying attention to it during the days of Melee because it just wasn't a tournament-ready game.
Right.
And because they haven't been paying attention to it for all these years, they don't know what has happened to the series since. And a lot of those old school fighting game guys also probably wouldn't get into Smash because it's not their kind of game.
Yeah.
Because you have different kinds of fighting games for different kinds of people.
Right.
A lot of the 2D fighter guys don't mix with the 3D fighter guys.
True.
Like
Because,
they might
different
overlap, but it's a very small community of people that overlap from 2D to 3D.
Right.
Unless it's like a really big game like MVC2 was. Everyone played MVC2. But, other than that, you don't have a whole lot of crossover between 2D and 3D guys. So you have your Street Fighter guys and you have your Tekken guys. They don't mix a whole lot. So when they made the Street Fighter versus Tekken games, that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird though. That
Yeah.
was weird because Tekken was always been that 3D style.
Yeah, Tekken
They
was
made 2 games though. They made Tekken versus Street Fighter.
and Street Fighter versus Tekken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did the 3D and a 2D versions of that game, but it still didn't make sense because their communities don't overlap as well.
No, yeah.
Like if you wanted to make like a Street Fighter versus Guilty Gear, that would make a lot more sense because the Guilty Gear guys mix a lot better with the Street Fighter guys.
I don't agree with that.
Huh?
I don't agree with that. Just because Guilty Gear games are like way more combo centric, like bunch of strings and shit, and Street Fighter is slower.
But a lot of how you play the game is very similar. It's a lot of the same movements. It's a lot of the same. It's similar enough. But Guilty Gear, you're right. Guilty Gear is a very different game in terms of a lot of different things, which is why Guilty Gear guys sort of mix with everybody. But Street Fighter and Guilty Gear would mix better than Street Fighter and Tekken.
How did we get on this?
So we got into a fighting game tangent. So
I don't even know how we got here anymore.
yeah, it was. We talked about.
He was talking about Smash Brothers.
So back to, truthfully, I have found time to do things that I don't normally do.
Like play Smash Bros.
I don't play Smash. I have been able to play more video games. It's just because I'm jamming a couple hours of video game time at night before I go to bed. So I come home from my second job, and while I'm trying to wind down to get ready for bed, I will turn a game on instead of watching Netflix or
Right.
whatever. I started Spider-Man, the new
Okay,
Spider-Man game. I really enjoyed the game itself, and the gameplay is super smooth. Not my style. I can't fight in the style they need me to fight.
What style of game is it?
Arkham.
It's
the-
very
it's the
Arkham.
Arkham-
It's
Yeah,
kind of a
it's
kind of a mix between Arkham and Shadow
of Mordor.
Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
So wait,
yeah.
so they've done a Spider-Man game like that. Wasn't the Amazing Spider-Man basically just Arkham? What was Spider-Man?
It wasn't as good, but yeah.
Because I remember when that game came out, it was really popular because it was similar to Arkham. It just wasn't as good.
Right.
Now I've been hearing a lot of things about this Spider-Man game, but if it's basically just a cleaned up version of Amazing Spider-Man,
It's got a really the coolest part about this Spider-Man game is that it has its own story that stands alone. You know, it's not like a game that's based off of a movie where they have to kind of stay true to certain elements of what happened in the movie kind of thing. This is just a Spider-Man story that they're telling in the game only.
That's really cool.
So in its
But
open world,
I've also heard that Mary Jane's voice actress is Laura Bailey, which I'm excited about.
I have a copy. If you'd like to borrow it,
if you
can
want to
have
borrow
I
mine.
like Laura
Well,
Bailey.
Huh?
I like Laura Bailey.
I like Laura Bailey too. She's probably the
I
main
think-
reason why I keep watching Critical Role. She's the best. She's the best actor on there.
I think that with you the way how much you enjoy Arkham,
Mm-hmm.
I think you would
you'd
enjoy
like it.
Spider-Man.
Well,
So
I was
if-
thinking about buying my own copy and just having
you
it.
can just take mine. It's fine.
All right.
Take
Oh.
it.
Just-
So I come to the realization that Spider-Man is not my game, which is I don't want to knock the game because the game itself, the gameplay is great. It's just not. I don't think I could get
yeah,
through
because
it.
you never really got into the Arkham games either.
I can't. I
Right.
can't do it. I don't have.
Me having
My-
played every other game that even closely resembles
Like-
that game.
Well,
I
James? Did
immediately
you
was
ever
down
get into
for
like the
it.
Guitar Heroes or the Rock Bands?
Dude,
Or
I love that.
okay, here's the thing, because the original Arkham Asylum was based off of rhythm games. That was how they came up with that combat style. It was based off
Right.
of rhythm games. It was originally going to be a rhythm game.
What?
Yeah.
I've never played that game, so
What rhythm game?
no Arkham Asylum.
Arkham?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was originally based off of rhythm games. They were going to make a rhythm game, and then
So
they evolved it
you
from
could,
there.
you could definitely
Yeah,
playing
you
it
could
and
see
watching
it
other people.
for sure.
You could definitely see that. You
Yeah.
could definitely see that it's a definite rhythm style game.
Right.
And so yeah, that same basis is the new Spider-Man game. Is the same basis, and again, I think it has to do with my eye-hand coordination.
I was gonna say because it to ever actually be able to use the full scope of everything that Spider-Man can do by the time you finish the game, you have to have an insane amount of
Because,
hand-eye
yeah,
coordination and be used to that kind of gameplay.
Right.
So like having played Shadow of Mordor and Arkham and whatever other game that had the same style of it beforehand, by the time I got to it, I was a pro at it. But
Right.
having jumped into it straight from that, I would say that it'd be difficult to keep.
I mean,
up.
I did try to play Shadow of Mordor because I love the whole Lord of the Rings realm. And I'm like, dude, this game is going to be awesome because it's got, this, that. And, but again, it was the same type of combat, and I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
So I then picked up, I've had it for a while. Harrison gave me a copy of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay.
So I put that
I
on
want
there. and
to
started
actually get into
playing.
that game too.
I started piddling around with that for a little bit. It's not that I don't want to jump back into it, but I put it on hold for a minute because a game that I've been waiting to go down in price went down in price, and I went ahead and bought it, which is Ace Combat.
Right.
You guys have all heard in other
About that.
podcasts that I've always wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Right.
So it's an airplane game, so I had to put everything else on hold so I could play some airplane stuff and
guess.
shoot shit down. So I've been
Airplanes.
playing.
Which I need to get you together with Wayne because I didn't know you were into Ace Combat. Ace Combat's his favorite series of video games.
Oh yeah, I love Ace Combat. Ace Combat. The thing is that what I want is I am almost willing to save up the $300 to get the VR, just for like the 3 missions in Ace Combat. Because from what I understand, that the VR version of Ace Combat is absolutely phenomenal.
Have
like,
you ever played VR before?
no.
Okay.
I've worn them and I've done stuff with it, but I've never actually played a game
How
in
do you
VR.
feel after?
Oh, I'm fine. I don't have
Okay,
that. I don't
I
get
was about to
nauseous.
say,
I remember because I know you get,
yeah, I can't do VR shit. It's not.
but like
No.
literally. So my boss at Games Store that I work at, I forgot that I don't say their names, but at the
Why?
game store I use, she had it's just one of those things I try not to.
I'm trying to think of
We don't make money off this.
I know, but you never know. We could
potentially we could.
potentially we
just
could.
don't.
Let's talk
Well,
about
yeah,
this
but
on,
we could
on
still
the air,
also
guys.
just
Anyway,
say anything
so
we want. It's a podcast.
The boss at the game store I work.
Honestly, other
for-
people talk about whether or not they make money on their podcasts. and
Yeah, you
shit.
can say stuff like
I know,
anything.
but anyway,
We're not,
So
we're not, we're not
first
trying
of all-
to. We're not actively trying to make money off of this.
Anyways,
right
James
Dominoes.
playing Ace Combat.
well, so
No.
the boss,
Domino's. That's the place I work at.
anyway, so
GameStop.
so
now because there are other game stores.
Right.
Yeah,
At this
right.
point-
There's like one other.
anyway, so my boss
V-Stock,
at, my
Oh,
boss at
right.
GameStop, she has the VR and she tried the Ace Combat in VR. She said that the launch off the aircraft carrier. So if anybody knows anything about launching planes off an aircraft carrier, it'll have that drop at the end before the plane gets lift.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm sitting in my chair, getting ready to launch, and it dropped, and she goes, my stomach dropped, and you could feel, it
Yeah.
didn't move.
Yeah,
You have
stuff
that
like
whole,
That's why I can't do
like the
VR.
visual side of it is so realistic that you feel stuff and you don't even realize you're in it. But she said the hardest part was because you're in an airplane. If you're not used to doing barrel rolls and going straight up in the air and flying in a plane, it could make you sick. And I'm like, dude, it's just a roller coaster. I'm good.
It's not the same.
It's not, but
Not
still.
even- it's worse.
But yeah, truthfully, I mean, there is a couple of shows that I tried to pick up and didn't really get into. But I have been watching a lot of YouTube because a lot of the YouTube guys that I watch are putting out a lot of content now because of they're stuck at home. So what else do they got to do but put content out?
A lot of the people I watch on YouTube are a lot of the politics people. They've been putting out less and less because there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
They
that's
all
true.
died because they're old.
But there's a
No?
there's a couple of
It's a joke.
play game guys that play games on YouTube that I watch that have been putting out a lot of good content lately, and I've been watching them.
I could definitely see that happening. I don't follow a lot of video game stuff anymore.
Yeah,
But
just a couple. There's only a couple that I really enjoy, and it's not because, there's nothing against people like Ninja or some of the other like hardcore gamers out there that make millions of dollars playing freaking Fortnite or.
in their apartment.
you know who has been putting out a lot of content that I am subscribed to? All the people that talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, yeah, because
We all
the
have
thing about
normal
D&D,
jobs.
the thing about D&D, which is something we haven't really talked about on the podcast before, but me and Tim are really into D&D. So, the thing about D&D is that D&D can be played from separate houses. You all don't need to be in the same
Well, yeah,
room.
but the thing is, it's not even all the live play games. It's a lot of the guys who talk about like rules misconceptions or build ideas or
Well, because
you know,
they're
stuff
bored
like-
at home and they
Yeah.
read a lot of books now. I mean,
Yeah.
D&D involves a lot of reading of the rules and like trying to figure out the best ways to go about things. And with us
Yeah.
being stuck in the house, what else are hardcore D&D players going to do but pick up the damn rule books and read them again?
Which, I mean, that's basically what I've been doing. I've been going through a lot of D&D stuff because I'm DMing our current campaign,
Right.
and I've had a lot of random time that I've mostly made myself because, like I said, I'm still working about as much as I normally would. So I've been putting aside extra time to do all this stuff, but it's helping that a lot of these D&D content creators are putting out extra content.
So, yeah. that's a lot of stuff that we've been doing. We didn't think we were going to talk this much, but of course our tangents
It occurred to me a little earlier before we actually started recording. I'm like, this could potentially be like a very long episode, depending on how long we each let each other go on our.
Yeah, our tangents.
This
Which is
honestly
let it
went
go.
a lot better than I thought it would.
Just let it go.
So, well, I was going to say,
Hey, can you turn the PlayStation on? I want to play a game.
anyway, so,
I'm not kidding.
we
Okay.
have been busy. All of us work. We all also have found time for other things. I hope that everybody at home who is stuck at home, either with or without a job at home, have been keeping busy.
Hopefully, maybe we get
Doing a bunch of nerdy stuff like the rest of
some
us.
stuff like this.
So-
Maybe get some new
Right.
muses, since maybe you've been inside for
Speaking
really
of
long
new
time.
stuff,
Something to do.
Speaking of new stuff, recommendations for things to try during the apocalypse?
Oh, recommendations.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because
I would recommend-
here's what I would recommend. I talked about that new Raven book, the new trilogy, Raven's Sword or whatever. Book's called Wolf's Call.
Wolf's Call.
I recommend if you are either into Raven Shadow already, go ahead and pick that up. If you're not, go ahead and pick up Raven Shadow. It spend some time
Yeah,
during
if you're really into medieval fantasy with a little bit of magic in it,
yeah.
Raven Shadow is actually a very good.
If you're into history, because a lot of the first book takes a lot from Spartan culture.
It does.
And the first book also kind of feels like a more hardcore, gritty, and gory Harry Potter
Yeah,
Well, cool.
because they're in school.
yeah.
Cool.
Recommend anything from you?
I
An-
want
anime?
to kind of make a couple of recommendations now with what you just talked about.
Everybody
Said,
gets one.
like dirtier,
Everybody gets one.
like dirtier Harry Potter. I would say try The Magicians. It's kind of like a modern day college show, and it's like Harry Potter because
It's a
dirtier.
show?
Yeah, it's on. You can probably watch like the first 5 or 6 seasons on Netflix right now.
Yeah, I think it's on. There's a couple
It's-
seasons.
It's
on there.
pretty good. It's got a lot of like relatable, like character in it and whatnot, and it's very similar to Harry Potter with like magic and stuff like that. But it's got more of like a TV show feel to it, which I think a lot of Harry Potter fans are kind of wanting to see. You know, because everybody talks about how they want like a TV series about like the Marauders and stuff. So.
Harrison?
If you like video games or if you like platformers, definitely check out Celeste. It's a really good game. I loved every bit of it.
I say, really, I don't have any. I mean,
You haven't tried anything new during the apocalypse?
really, not really.
I use my
Nothing that you
incognito tab
completely
more.
Recommend
No.
James.
Yeah, I'm horrible. I'm a very horrible, lonely
I think I'm the
person.
only one that caught that,
Yeah,
actually.
you're the only one that heard me.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said I use my incognito tab more.
Oh, man. What does that mean? I'm too innocent to get that joke.
It's okay. One day you'll grow up, Devin.
I mean, the thing is that my routine really hasn't changed much through this whole thing. So I'm just doing the same stuff. I mean, I listen to a podcast and read and listen to books during work, and then
What podcast do you listen to?
I listen to the Rizzuto Show normally.
All right, listen to the Rizzuto Show. We'll see you next week.
Actually, if you guys haven't heard, there's a podcast out there that I've been kind of piddling around with. But
It's called The Unnecessary Tangent.
yeah, the unnecessary. Besides the unnecessary tangent, but there's a comedian out there, Dan Cummings, that does
Oh,
Time
he's
Suck.
hilarious.
Oh, yeah, Time Suck.
If you guys are if you're into history, or even if you're into the
Conspiracy
theories and
yeah.
stuff like that, he
Oh, yeah.
delves into a lot of that stuff.
They talk about
the ones I've been
coronavirus
listening to.
conspiracies, 'cause
The ones
that's-
I've been listening to lately are the ones about I just sound really weird, but the serial killers and the bombers and stuff like that.
sound really weird. You act like that's not what so many other people are.
True, you're right,
Yeah.
but it's just I like mystery type stuff.
Right.
So serial killers are one of those things like it takes them so long to even get to
Well,
find
and
out who
it's
this
weird.
is, and
It's weird
Dan-
because like people are just sort of people, and they like even the most ridiculous serial killers were a lot more normal than you would think. They went out and did normal stuff. They had to go to the
Right.
grocery store. They sleep. They
so
eat,
on
they,
this podcast,
That's
on
what's so
Time
fascinating
Suck,
to
Right.
everybody else, I guess.
on Time Suck, he doesn't go through the police side of how they found the serial killer. He actually does the history of the killer themselves, like
Yeah.
how he was raised and he or she was raised, the type of family, the kind of things they went through, and then he even goes through every single murder until they get caught
Right.
and then tried, and pretty much ends it. But of course, Dan Cummings being a comedian, he adds a lot of humor into everything.
Yeah.
So if you really like history or anything like that, I mean, he's also done stuff on why the Nazis went after the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
And other Nazi style World War II type stuff. He's done stuff on the Unabomber, the Oklahoma bomber, and a ton of serial killers, and
Yeah. He did.
he did a couple of ones on Area 51.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
done some on like when they released some of the black files. Like he's done a lot of conspiracy theory stuff. I haven't listened to all of them, but every once in a while, when I get to a point where I just need something to listen to, I'll turn on a Time Suck podcast and listen.
You also said I kind of got you into Critical Role. You said that was going to be the next podcast.
That'll
you're gonna
be
pick up.
when I finish the Raven Shadow series, which I am re-listening to right now, and I finish Wolf's Call.
Mhm.
I will jump into the Critical Role. So Critical Role, I've only seen. They started episode 19 on the podcast site that I go through,
Mhm.
but I'll just jump on YouTube and catch the first 19 episodes on
Yeah.
YouTube and just watch them, listen to them.
Yeah. And like I've said, listening to them, which I do while I drive around. So I run it on YouTube, but I don't watch it. It works pretty well because they're voice actors, so a lot of the stuff comes from them talking to each other. It's when they get into combat where it's kind of like, oh man, I really want to see what's going on, because they actually have like battle grids and stuff, and they
Right.
talk about their tactics. But you don't have to watch it; you can just listen to it, and it works out fine.
I mean, the little bit that I've listened to is they're hilarious. They're absolutely hilarious because
Yeah.
a couple of them are, like he said, voice actors, but they're comical voice actors. So they like
So some of them are, and some of them they get into like serious drama stuff that they build themselves, like character to character, and it gets pretty fun,
But anyways,
all right. So those are our recommendations. Please let us know, for any of you guys out there that actually listen to us. Let us know what you guys been up to. Let us know if there's a subject you want us to talk about.
yeah, I think that's something that we really, really want to look for, is hearing more subjects that maybe we wouldn't be able to think of on our own. That,
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
even if we don't know a whole lot on it,
Yeah,
we'll discuss what
end
we
up,
know.
We could end up doing like a deep dive of us like just researching random crap that we don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I am totally
and
down.
you can see the evolution of our learning.
You should,
yeah, that could be
yeah.
interesting. We can just do
So
regular episodes.
please,
about it.
anybody that actually listens, if there's a subject out there that you want us to talk about, like I said,
Hopefully not coronavirus. I'd rather us not talk about coronavirus.
Right.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I have a few
That was this
episodes
episode.
lined up for the next couple of weeks with a couple of guests that I'd like to bring in. That we're going to talk about a few subjects that are, one's a little off the wall compared to what we normally talk about. The other two are right in line with what we talk about. So look for us. There will be a couple of guest stars in the next couple. So with that, we'll talk at you later.
Bye. Later. Wash your hands.
We should have an episode about the weather.